Thank you for welcoming me onto your headphones. I'm Eddie, reviewing Without Remorse, and this is the rollback. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations, you have me all to yourselves once again this Saturday. Now, we're going to be discussing Tom Clancy's Without Remorse. It's actually based off his second most popular character, John Clark, the first being Jack Ryan. That's portrayed by one Mr. John Krasinski, or Jim, as I know him from The Office. Also on Amazon. I'm going to assume maybe they might have a crossover in the future, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, Without Remorse stars Michael B. Jordan as the titular John Clark. This film is a bit by the numbers, I want to say. It falls very much into the category of like a Mark Wahlberg movie. I made fun of Mark Wahlberg once in a written review that you can actually read about on our website. But in the review, I made a point of saying that he kind of always plays the same character, insert soldier, military personnel, or former retired military personnel, betrayed by a shadowy government agency or a corrupt government agency, hell-bent on bringing on some kind of war for profiteering. Insert hero, insert American flag, done and done. I think it should be its own subgenre at this point. And this film very much falls into that category, for better or for worse. Michael B. Jordan, his acting is too good for the writing of this movie. It starts off with them performing a mission. Stuff goes bad. They find out that, we killed some Russians. This is not good. You told us that they were insurgents. And everything escalates from there. There's a scrub team that goes out. They are Russians, the scrub team. And they kill the American soldiers that were on U.S. soil and their families. They make it very personal. Michael B. Jordan's character, John Kelly, or Clark at the very end, but during the film, Kelly, is the only one left alive. Afterwards, he gets shot, he gets injured, but he rehabs, and he goes on a straight-up revenge mission, a la John Wick. But it doesn't quite go as planned. That's when we get, I guess, I would say our first really great action sequence. The interrogation scene where he sets a car on fire, gets in the car with the guy he's interrogating, and then gets arrested. Great sequences, some really interesting things. I've never seen an interrogation scene in a flaming car, so props to them for originality there. It was pretty badass. Also, the jail scene is a bit... I have a bit of a background. I worked in a prison for about a year. And very, very interrogating. The Turtle team didn't do jack shit against this guy, which, what do you expect? He's built like a brick shit house, and, he's former military, and he knows how to fight. What did you expect? But from there, the conspiracy theory kind of unravels. Did the CIA know who he was? Did they not know who he was? He managed to get the name of Reinikoff, who... everyone believes is dead, actually, initially. But turns out he's alive. And twist, for later on, he's actually working for the CIA. They're trying to actually cause another world war. And as everything continues on, you realize, wow, there's a lot of corruption here. Now, they also include Jamie Bell, a great character. If you don't know who he is, great actor. Jamie Bell, he's known to play, I guess, the traitor. And that's not trying to be mean, that's just being honest. And his character, his name is Robert Ritter, or at least we're led to believe his name is Robert Ritter, CIA and whatnot. He is kind of the false bad guy. He's a red herring. And I think possibly that's because everyone knows John Ritter as the traitor in everything that he does, mostly. He's a CIA operative who's very secretive with information. He, more or less, he's just trying to do his job. But inevitably, he ends up earning the respect of John Clark, or John Kelly, and the rest of the team. He even says, I've been trying to get Rykov forever. And if we can capture him alive, we need to interrogate him. We need to find out what the hell is going on. So as the story progresses, we get an amazing, amazing action sequence. And it kind of robs us a bit. So we get to the point where Michael B. Jordan, John Kelly, is able to confront the man that killed his wife. And he's planning on killing him. And the thing is, there's still a lot of time left in the movie. And Rykov reveals that he is a member of the CIA. It was a sanctioned mission because they're purposefully to start a world war. They're trying to start a war between the Soviet Union or the Russians and the U.S. He ends up bombing. He ends up suicide bombing, blowing himself up, and then we get this amazing action sequence between this team of American soldiers, and they realize, and they talk you through it. They say, if and these snipers are going after them, but they say, look, if they catch any one of us here, they're going to know that it was a U.S. soldier on Russian soil filing a war, like starting a world war, and they're going to have their cause. So they have to come up with a plan to try and get out and try to not start World War III. But that sequence is amazing. It's what you expect. It's, I guess, as realistic as I can imagine because of all the communications. They're not just firing at will. They communicate. They talk, crossing, doing this, grab him. Hey, east side, this way over here. To the best of my knowledge, Michael B. Jordan did go through a bit of a boot camp for this film. And they did have a liaison there to actually kind of talk them through the action sequences and what people in the military would or would not say. Just wow. Again, incredible action sequence. To me, that was the highlight of the film. And that's the problem. Because up until this point, we as the audience only knew Rykov is the enemy. Rykov is the bad guy. Rykov murdered his wife. And for him to just blow himself up, I think really does cause a bit of an emotional disconnect. It's disheartening. You want an emotional payoff. You want a climax. Unfortunately, this film kind of robs us of that satisfying emotional moment of Michael B. Jordan, putting the guy down and saying, you're going to say my wife's name before you die. So we continue on, and then we end up finding out that the senator, one of the people that sanctioned the mission, is the actual traitor. He wants to start World War III, in his words, because this is getting a bit generic at this point. This country is more divided than ever. When we're united, the most united when we have a common enemy. And our greatest enemy was the Soviet Union. Guns, bandages, and bullets rebuilt this country after the Great Depression. It can rebuild this country again now. All that spending. Who won World War II? It wasn't the generals, it wasn't the soldiers, it was the economists. Because of how great we did after the fact. And it's getting a bit generic at this point, because I know I've heard that reason more than once, as far as World War is a good thing for money. Fucking that was I'm not saying it was a good premise, but that was the premise for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Come on, I've heard this one. And granted, it doesn't necessarily have to be new. The problem is when the film suffers overall to serve as a prequel to a longer story. Because after John Kelly kills him, or drowns him, he ends up getting a new identity via the CIA and a new life, a new lease on life. He's renamed John Clark, and he begins a new life. Then we get a odd, not after credit scene, kind of a mid credit scene of him talking to Ritter, Jamie Bell's character, and they have a discussion. And at that point, he kind of says he has an idea for a team, of operatives from the U.S., the U.K., and select operatives from NATO, and all intelligence agencies work through them to create what they would inevitably call Rainbow Six, which, if you know Tom Clancy, either the books or the video games Rainbow Six. Even I know that. I suck at Rainbow Six Siege, but even I know the game. And so this movie, it suffers from the same thing that Mortal Kombat suffers from, which is prequel-itis. They're using this film to set up the next series of films. And I understand that to some degree, but also you need to have an emotional payoff to this film. I feel like they could have worked around it, reworked it, to where Rykov was the emotional climax, and then it's revealed he's the one that reveals, the CIA sanctioned this, they did this, or whatever, and everything was recorded, and so they're able to hold that senator accountable, or at the very least, okay, now we know who we have to go against. Now we know the bad guy. It's just Michael B. Jordan's acting is so good, but this movie doesn't deserve it, if that makes sense. The story doesn't warrant the degree he's willing to go to for this part. And I can only hope that Rainbow Six, when they do it, is good. Hopefully, maybe they'll do a crossover with Jack Ryan, with his other character, Jack Ryan. Hopefully, John Krasinski and Michael B. Jordan would be a powerhouse cast to add into any team. And it can go from there. It is a big world, and he has a huge universe. He has over, 40 years of book material to work with. Let's see where they go. This movie is not the best thing. It's not the best thing on Amazon Prime right now. That would be Invincible if you haven't seen it. It is worth a watch, and I do know the audience for this film. Action junkies that really enjoy, I guess, like military films like this. And it's not a bad movie by any stretch, but it could have been better, and I think that may be the most frustrating thing. The execution could have been better. Overall, I'd rate this film probably a C. Would I ever watch it again? Probably, if it's on TV and it's good background noise, but that's about it. The story was convincingly complex enough up until the last hour when it got pretty straightforward. What are your thoughts? If you have anything to say about the movie, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, comment below. If you're listening to us via podcast, please like and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. We're trying to grow the channel. And I know I harp this every single episode, but please, tell your family, tell your friends about us. That's how I discovered most of my favorite podcasts. If you want to see more of our written reviews, you can go to therollback.net. I've been Eddie, and this was The Rollback.